hair in my mouth. Hello. So another thing that people with NADD, what the heck is NADD? Is that like ADD for horses? Hey guys, it's Sammy coming to you from the still under construction Sparkle Zone. So for those of you who don't know, and I don't know how you would know considering I've never mentioned it before, I have ADD, and that stands for Attention Deficit Disorder. Now, what that means is it's basically a focus thing. I have some trouble focusing, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that comes with it, and we'll get into that a little, later in the video. ADD sounds really familiar to ADHD. It's literally ADHD without the H. Like ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder, so this is that without the hyperactive, so without all the fidgeting and stuff. Mine is fairly mild. There's definitely a scale, and mine's definitely on the lower half, but it's definitely still there. I take some medication for it, and I could totally survive without the medication. It just improves my focus at school and stuff. But even though it's definitely a serious thing, ADD can be quite a comical disorder. So this video is things only people with ADD will understand. I know that Ryan Higa did a video like this with ADHD because he has that, and I might mention some of the same things, but I will also definitely be mentioning different things. There are some things he didn't mention, or maybe things that he doesn't have, because every case differs, and I will be doing this video in a very different way. He acted out the scenarios, I'm just kind of going to be talking about it with ya. What is this? Looks like it's like someone's throwing things at me, and I'm like, wata, hiya! No, I've like pretty bad reflexes. Like if someone was throwing things at me, it would just be like hiya, wata, hata, and then a bunch of things would just come flying at me that I missed and hit me in the face. Like this. This is my emoji pillow. But let's actually get on to the video now. So, if you have ADD, you will know what I'm saying when, and I know this happens to a ton of people, but for us, it is severe. You just be like walking into a room like, I'm gonna get a snack, and then you open the cupboard and you're like, wait, what was I doing? Why did I open this cupboard? Did I want something from this cupboard? Why am I even in this room? What was I doing before I came in this room? Was I maybe doing a project? Wait, what room was I in before this one? Was I upstairs? I think I might remember coming down the stairs. Maybe like muscle memory, like. No, yeah, this feels familiar. I need to go back upstairs and figure out what I was doing. It's just like you forget something and then you just forget everything else and then it just goes all spiraling into a hurricane. A hurricane of forgetfulness. But just sort of like what happened there, another thing that only people with ADD will really understand is that whole train of thought. That moment you go from thinking one thing and then end up on a completely different topic. Like it could be as much as walking in and say, I like that paint color. I think I saw that color somewhere before. Maybe it was on a shirt at, what store? Was it maybe American Eagle? Yeah, it was. What day was that? I was at the mall on Sunday. Did I go to American Eagle on Sunday? I think so, yeah, because I got the ice cream after. It was really good ice cream. What flavor was that? It was some kind of chocolate, but I don't remember what. But all I know is it was not as good as that chocolate ice cream I had at Ben & Jerry's in Florida. Oh my god. That was so good. The whole Florida trip was really fun. I remember that night we went out to dinner and oh my god, the food was so good. I wonder if we'll ever go to that restaurant again. What if that restaurant closed down? What if that restaurant closes down before I can go back to Florida? But there are definitely worse things that can happen. Like, I could get trapped in a building that's on fire. Or someone I love could die. And suddenly you go from thinking of the paint color in a room to someone dying. Like literally that has happened to me more times than I can count. I will just spiral into this train of thought where I will end up thinking of a scenario in my mind that is really sad. Like it will literally cause me to cry. And all these sad feelings that I am currently feeling was because of the paint. Speaking of scenarios, most people with ADD and ADHD for sure will understand that creativity in our wonderful special brains is like, okay, if most people's creativity levels are here, ours are here. And that is not to say that everyone's creativity levels are here. It's just our brains are just filled with creativity. We just got like all this extra creativity flowing around up in here. I can literally just like lie down and imagine a scenario. It'd be like TV all up in my brain. A TV show that I make. I have all these different stories in my brain that I can lie back and imagine anytime I want, and I can stop them and continue them. I remember what happened. Another thing I find myself doing is imagining myself in TV shows and like playing that story out. Let's see, what TV shows have I put myself in? I've put myself in Girl Meets World, The Next Step, The Fosters, Nowhere Boys. I think I put myself in Hank Zipzer at one point. Not sure how that happened. But seriously, it's awesome. The only downside to it is, as mentioned before, sometimes my imagination is just so real to me that if I imagine like something sad, I will literally start crying. Like tears streaming down my face. Whenever I imagine I'm pacing, I just walk back and forth in circles pacing, and I talk to myself. All of the time, I'm not even kidding. So imagine this, me walking in circles, crying, murmuring stuff under my breath. That has happened. Now, another thing that people with ADD would understand, and this is one of those not so good things, is having trouble focusing on what you want to. I'm not really sure how to put it into words, but it's like you just cannot take what you are looking at and put it into your brain. This is why I started medication, because if I was having a bad day with my ADD, you know, there are days that are certainly worse than others, and I was taking a test, I would be reading the question, I'd be reading the words, but the second I stopped reading them, it would leave me. This problem especially came through in math tests. So if it gave me a bunch of information, like Lucy had these many, Rob had these many, Charles had these many, how could you make it so that they all had this amount while only getting rid of this many whatevers? I could not focus on all of that information at once. I would forget how many whatevers Lucy had, Bob had, or whatever I said his name was, and Charles had. Like, right after I went to look at how many this one had, I'd forget how many that one had. And then, if I managed to get that, like maybe I'd highlight it, sometimes that worked, I would just not be able to take what the problem was telling me to do and figure out how to do it. Like, it would just not comprehend all up in here. This is like a fun dance, like da 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 da. It's like the Egyptian octopus. See, because I'm doing the head bob thing and this weird octopus thing, totally just created a dance. The last thing only people with ADD will really understand is hyperfocus. I only learned that word proper term thingy like a few weeks ago. I call it in the zone. Which is funny because right now I'm in the sparkle zone. No, but for real, I'm talking about in the zone where it's like super focused, like not paying attention to the outside world. Usually happens with things we're interested in. That's just a fact. We just manage to focus really well on things we're interested in and not so well on things we're not. Geography. History. Should really get that cough checked out. But that really can happen with anything, even sometimes when we're not interested in it. And it doesn't always happen even when we're interested in something. Like, I like to write some books. And sometimes when I'm writing and I just totally focus in, it will literally be like, that idea, that idea, that idea. And then I will look back and read it, and it was like I typed it like a minute ago. And I will look back and read it, and I'll be like, oh, hey, good idea, me. Like, I was just so focused, I wasn't even completely registering what I was typing. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. If any of you out there have ADD or ADHD or maybe know someone with it, any of that, feel free to comment down below something I may have missed, because there is a ton of stuff. And I was just covering ADD, not ADHD. and I was just covering the stuff that applies to me. So there is definitely a ton of stuff that I didn't cover. This is Sammy signing off from the Sparkle Zone. Bye!